Some days you just never know what we're getting into down here at Deep Creek Farm. As you can see behind me, bicycles. Lots of bicycles. Tons of bicycles. Well, actually, 48 bicycles to be exact. 24 boys' bicycles, 24 girls' bicycles. And you ask, what am I doing with all the bicycles? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing with all the bicycles. Our local fire department does a carnival every year. The carnival this year is being delayed a couple of weeks because of some vendors, the ride vendor they had an issue with. So this year's carnival is going to be the first full weekend and the second full weekend of September. Every year they give away bicycles to the kids. Local individuals and businesses donate money to buy the bicycles. I, being the person at the hardware store that owns the hardware store, I'm kind of the go-between person here that gets the bicycles for the carnival, gets all the helmets for them, and delivers them to the carnival. So I've just picked these bicycles up. Every night they give away 6 bicycles, 3 boys and 3 girls. It does not cost anything to put your name in the raffle. You've got to be a kid, of course, to put your name in the raffle. And hey, if your name is called, you are the winner of a bicycle. So just one of those community things we do around here to help the community out and get her done. It's all for a great cause for the Ridge Volunteer Fire Department. Okay, they're not ready for these bikes yet, so I'm going to back the trailer in the barn until next week, and I'll take them up to the carnival, and there will be 48 happy kids in the next couple of weeks. Okay, let's see what we can get into now. The sun is shining today, not nearly as hot as it has been, so still working on some odd jobs around the farm. So let me get the trailer unhooked, backed in the barn and unhooked, and see what I'll get into. Since we last talked, I don't think I have shown you the new accessory for my truck. I'm an old man, getting older by the minute. These darn 2500 pickup trucks are quite tall. They're difficult for an old man to get into. So I have added this handy dandy step. Look at that. Yeah. So now I can just step up here without any issues. So yes, I don't feel as old as I once was, or once did, or something like that. Anyhow, I'm old. I need assistance, so that is pretty awesome. I dislike plumbing. out of all of the different trades that we have at the hardware store coming in, out of customers coming in, they're always looking for suggestions on electricians, plumbers, carpenters, handymen. Plumbers are always the one trade we can never give them a good recommendation. It's hard to find a plumber. I tell my employees all the time, my young ones that I hire to work after school, if you don't mind getting your hands dirty, you will be able to name your price over the next 10 to 20 years. And plumbing is one of those places you're going to be able to name your price, at least in this area, because of our government jobs in this area. Everybody wants to sit at a computer, so you can't find a plumber. But I do have a plumbing job to do today that I have been putting off. The spigot here, I believe down in the ground it has broken off, because if you look, when I turn the water on, it bubbles out of there and does not come out of there. So probably has rusted off down at the valve on the bottom. That's my guess. This thing has probably been here 20 to 30 years, I guess. I had to replace, no, now that I'm looking at it, yeah, that pipe is rusted off right here at the ground, so that's the issue with it. I had to replace one of these at the hardware store a couple of months ago, but that one up there was only a year old. We just had a new well put in at the hardware store, and when the guys dug the well and put it in, I said, hey, while you're out here, put a spigot right here next to the well. We need it to water our plants in the springtime. So I went in and got one of these spigots off the shelf and gave it to him, and he installed it right next to the wellhead. And less than a year goes by, and I've got water bubbling up out of there. I started to call the well people back to come in and fix it. I said, you know what, I'll just do it myself. It'll be a whole lot quicker. So I took Patron out there with me one afternoon, and we dug the hole to figure out what was going on with it. So with that one, it had broke off right above the valve. And I think that's because there was nothing holding this spigot in place, just similar to this one. It was nothing holding it there, just dirt around here, and that dirt had not gotten hard. And so each time somebody was going to turn this on, it was putting all of the pressure down at the valve. So it just broke it clean off at the valve. So I got that one replaced, and it took me an hour and a half, I guess. The biggest thing is digging the hole, because it's 2 feet down to get below the freeze line on there. But in the meantime, I was able to teach Patron a little bit about plumbing as well. It's not a difficult job. Plumbing isn't usually a difficult job. It's just one of those jobs people don't like to do, and I don't care for it. But I guess I will attempt to get this one changed today. What I did at the hardware store and what I will do with this one is I got a bag of Saccrete and put around the base of this so it's not going to wobble back and forth, so it should help it a little bit longer. But I have got to go find the valve that turns this water off. This is where the knowledge of my father is no longer here. I've got to figure this out on my own, but I've got a pretty good chance. We ran this water line. I vaguely remember running this water line 30 years ago from the house up there. Came down through the cornfield, put a spigot here. The line continues to run down towards the creek shore, and in the last barn on the creek shore, we've got another spigot down there. So I think I know where the valve is for this line, so I'll go turn it off. I've got the new spigot up at the shop. Just gonna have to get my hands dirty today, dig that hole, and hopefully it's not gonna be rusted too bad underneath of there, that I can pull it right apart and not have any issues. But hey, we'll see. If all else fails, I'll just cap it off. and not even replace the spigot. We don't use this one that much anymore. It's nice to have here, but when we were raising our own beef cattle, this was a walk-in box here, so we raised our own beef cattle, killed them ourselves, butchered them ourselves. So this was a walk-in cooler here that we had to hang the cattle in for aging, and so we had the water spigot here just to clean everything up and keep it all nice and clean. So let's get into this project and see where it leads us. Okay, to add to the excitement of water and mud, we are also going to throw electricity into the mix here. And I kind of suspected there were some wires running around here. This is the transformer box here. Running up, there's underground wire from the pole up in front of the house down to here. Somewhere that wire runs over to that meter. That I'm not concerned about because I'm almost sure the main feed runs under this building. So that I'm not concerned about. But from that panel box inside of the barn, we've got wires running all over the place here to feed different places. And I believe this one right here is one of those wires coming off of there, going back to feed our cooler back here, the refrigeration system. So it goes into that box and then goes into the building up here. But yeah, I believe this is the underground wire here. So I better go turn the main breaker off on everything here. Looks like I've already nicked it once there, but I don't need any more excitement. But hey, if something had happened, it would have been on video. That would have been pretty awesome to watch. Me here in a tizzy. Yeah, that would have been cool to watch. If anybody could have figured out how to download it from my camera. Because I would have been dead and gone. Okay, let me go turn the breaker off. Well, I should probably go get a hat so my bald head does not burn. I wasn't thinking about that, but hey, let me get here where there's no shadows. We have got to the bottom, right at 2 feet. So I did not quite remember how this was done, but now I do. I was thinking the line came straight up. We put a T on it, and then it continued on to the other barn, but no, that's not the case. The line is probably somewhere over there. We put a T in the line, came off, and put the elbow in here. The good news is, I believe that elbow is plastic, not galvanized. So I should be able to turn that thing off pretty easily. That's the hope anyway, if my hole is big enough. That's what she said, or that's what he said. Ooh, I better not go there. Let me get the pipe wrench and see what I can do here. Hey, do you see that? It's turning. Hey, that wasn't too bad actually. It seemed to have started on there pretty good. You saw I put the Teflon tape around there. What I'm going to do is go turn the valve on before I put any water in this hole to make sure it is not leaking down there anywhere. But I think it's good, so I'll turn the valve on. And I think what I'm going to do is get a load of pea gravel up, not a load, a bag of pea gravel up at the hardware store, put down in that hole. For those of you that don't know, the way these things work is the valve is at the bottom, so this is what is 2 feet in the ground, this valve part. There's a rod that runs all the way up there to the handle. When you pull that handle up, it pulls this rod up that opens this valve. And push the rod down, push the handle down, it pushes the rod down and closes the valve. But in order to keep everything from freezing in the wintertime, what happens, of course, this tube is now filled with water all the way up to the top. But it's called a frost-free spigot, and the reason for that is the relief hole right here at the bottom, just above the valve that opens and closes. So all of the water will drain out of the tube here down through this hole right here. And so you don't want to fill it in with dirt around here, because then that water will not be able to escape out of there. So if I put some pea gravel in the bottom of the hole, that pea gravel has enough air around it. It should not block that hole. All the water will drain out of it. It won't freeze in the wintertime. I think the way the professionals do it is they get some kind of cheesecloth and wrap around here. And that cheesecloth prevents any debris from getting in that hole and clogging it up. If I have any cheesecloth, I can do that, but I'm still going to put the gravel, or the pea gravel, down in the bottom. And then I'll get a load of, a bag of Sacrete to go around the top of it to hold it in place. So. And I think I'll also get my hat, so my head doesn't get any redder than it is. So let me head up to the hardware store and get these items that I need. The moment of truth, I have turned the valve on, and hey, there's no bubbles. That's great. And of course, if I turn this on, it's going to put more water in that hole. I really don't want that. There we go. And see, you can see that water coming out of that valve there. See it moving around in the hole. So all of that water drained out of that tube down into the hole there. But hey, no bubbles or leaks that I can see coming up around that fitting. But just to make sure, when I come back, I'll bring a small cup and bail the water out of that hole to verify that. So the good news is I bailed the water out and I do not see any water leaking down there at that fitting, so I think it's all good. I'm going to put a little bit of electrical tape. There's no bare wires here. I just clipped the outside covering on it. So I'm just going to tape that part of it up. Hey, I did not have any cheesecloth, but the next best thing, some gauze. I'm going to put this over that hole down at the bottom just so dirt doesn't get in and stop that hole up. This should do the same job as cheesecloth. Alright, let's get the pea gravel and put in there. And there you go. That's how you replace a frost-free spigot. Life is good now. We should have water here. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, it is on to the next project. I don't know what that is going to be, but I've got a list at the shop of things I need to do, so I will go check it off. All right, in the meantime, see ya.